All right, looks like I'm live. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this live broadcast. I am live. I'm sorry. Today, I decided to use StreamYard, and I was almost tempted to ask myself, "Oh no, why today? Like, why did you decide to use StreamYard today?" But hey, fine and good. Everything is working now. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maribel Chima. I am the convener of the Parenting Through Mentorship community and academy on Facebook, YouTube, and on Instagram. I am excited to be on your screen this afternoon. If you are with me, please say something. Let me know that I have got company. Let me know where you're joining me from. All right, it is Thursday, 1 p.m. that time where we come to talk about parenting and issues in our parenting. So today we are looking at a very, very interesting aspect of parenting. We're looking at the foundation. Foundation is very key. The foundation of everything is very key, and so is the foundation of your parenting. So the first 7 years of a child's life, the experts say, are very, very crucial years in the life of your children, in the lives of our children. So those are years that we do not want to joke with. These are years that we do not want to, we don't want to wing. These are years that we don't want to take chances. These are years that you want to make sure that you're putting in your everything in the life of your child from when they are 0 to 7. So today we're looking at 5 things that we need to put in place, or that we need to have in our environment. We need to have in our home environment if we are going to raise children who are wholesome, if we're going to raise children who will thrive. Now, when we talk about environment, the environment basically is everything that your child is immersed in. The environment is everything experience that your child has. The environment is everything that your child has access to. So when we're talking about environment, we're not just looking at the space or the physical space in your home. We're looking at the emotional, what is available to your child emotionally. We're looking at what is available to your child in that physical space. We're looking at the people that have access to your child. We're looking at the knowledge and the information that your child has access to. These are all the things that come together to make up the environment of the child. Okay, it's said that we are the sum total of our experiences and the environment that we find ourselves. Now, those experiences happen in this same environment. So this is what we're looking at holistically. Hi, Facebook user. If you don't give StreamYard access to your name, I won't be able to see who the poster is. But thank you very much. I see I have people who have joined me on Facebook and on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining. Just let us know where you're joining us from. Okay, I can see your names, so you might as well just you can decide to add your name, since you have not given StreamYard access to show me your name. You can decide to add your name when you post, the first time you post, so that I can see you and say hello to you personally. All right, but in the meantime, let's just move. Thank you for everyone who has joined us. I am streaming from the capital city of Nigeria, Abuja. Let us know where you're joining us from, and if you're catching the replay, okay, let us also know where you're joining us from, and let us know as we go along if you're getting value. All right, so I'm just going to go right into it. I said the very first 7 years of your child's life are actually crucial times in the life of the child. Okay, at this point in the child's life, the subconscious mind or the subconscious brain is 100% active. It is fully active, and funny enough, the consciousness of the child does not have consciousness. The conscious part of the child's brain is not active yet. Okay, so it's only the child's subconscious, the subconscious part of the brain that is actually active, basically. So yes, you can't give birth to your child, and at the point that the child comes out of the birth canal, at the point that the child is birthed, the child goes, "Oh, hi, are you my mom?" Right? So at this point, there is no consciousness, right? At this point, there is no consciousness. At this point, the child is not reasoning. The child is not conscious. Basically, I think that sums it up when we say the child is not conscious. So at this point, the child is not conscious, okay? But it's only the subconsciousness of the child that is 100% active. So what does this mean? It simply means that at this point, the child is just ready to download, okay? At this point, the child's brain is actively ready to download. So while the child cannot perceive or cannot express what he's getting in by way of words or by way of consciousness, the child cannot express or cannot come to conscious terms with what is going on around him or her. The subconscious mind is storing up what is going on around the child. Isn't it? So the child's brain is fully ready for download. That's what it means. The child's brain is set and ready for download. This very powerful tool in the life of your child is ready to download. So what does it mean? It means that every experience, right, that the child will have, every experience that which the child has between the age of 0 and 7. In fact, it actually begins from the last trimester. Okay, actually begins from your last trimester, right? From the last trimester of a woman, when you're pregnant, from the last trimester, the child's subconscious mind begins to download. At that point where the child can hear, okay? Because, I mean, medicine tells us that at some point, even the fetus can actually hear the sounds, right, that is going on in its environment. So that's how sometimes there's a loud sound. I remember when the first time I was pregnant, right, the first time there was a time where at the movies, and I can't remember, it was one of those James Bond's movies that just came out, and I was out with my husband and a couple of friends at the cinema, and there was this scene that was like the sound at the cinema, the sound was loud. As the sound went, like boom, I could hear the baby jet. Okay, so at that point, right, the child is already listening. The child can already hear you. So what do we say? We say the subconscious is alive. The subconscious is active. So you don't want to take for granted the fact that the subconscious mind is active. So what does it mean? It means that it's ready to download. And what is it going to download? It's going to download programs, isn't it? It's going to download programs. So what programs are you going to create for your child 0 to 7 to download? What kind of programs are you going to be creating for the child to download? What kind of program do you have for another human being to download? What kind of program exists in your environment for your child to download, right? Now, what happens is, by this time of the child's life, the child is downloading. Now, you cannot take what the child is downloading at this point for granted, because, hey, eventually, after the age of 7, the conscious mind will become active. The conscious mind will become active. The child will become more conscious. Okay, at the point where this child becomes more conscious, guess what? It is all that the child has downloaded during those phases where there was when there was no consciousness. It's all that the subconscious mind has downloaded that will be the experience that is available for the child to use to create their own character, to create their own behavior, to create everything that they would need for the rest of their lives. Should I take that again? The subconscious mind will store up information right from your 3rd trimester. Okay, right from the 3rd trimester of a woman's pregnancy, or right from the 3rd trimester of the child's life, right? Right from that point, the subconscious mind is fully active and it is storing up, it is downloading every program in your environment. You are the primary caregiver, so primarily, the child will be downloading from you. The child is in his home more than the child is anywhere else. So most of the experiences that the child or that the subconscious mind is going to download is going to be in your environment, your home environment. Apart from that, every other place where the child can download, is a places that you must have given the child access to. So for instance, the school that you take the child is going to be because you as the parent deemed that place fit for your child. So yes, you're just going to be introducing your child to that environment because, hey, your expectation is that in that environment, what your child will be downloading is going to be right for the child. All right, the social gatherings or the social experiences that your child is going to have between the ages of 0 and 7 are going to be the experiences that you have provided, or the experiences that you have introduced them into, the places where you have introduced them to get to those experiences. So meaning the friends that they have at this stage of their lives, the friends that they have, the social gatherings that they find themselves, the places that they have, the access to media, right? The access to media, be it TV, telephones, smartphones, and smart gadgets, and all of that. These are things that you as a parent is going to give the child the opportunity, or going to give the child access to. So either way, you are primarily responsible for the programs that are available to your child between the ages of 0 and 7. Now, these programs are going to be stored up in the subconscious mind of your child, because at this point, the consciousness, your child does not have consciousness per se. At this point, the conscious mind of your child is not fully developed and ready to kick in, right? And ready to kick in. Your child is not reasoning as well as they should. Your child cannot make choices. Their choices are flawed at this time, as in quote and unquote. So at this point during the child's life, you are responsible for their experiences. You are responsible for the programs that they are downloading. You are responsible for the things that they have access to. Hello, it's good to have you. I can see who the poster is because you have not given StreamYard access. You can just add your name so I can say hello to you properly. All right. So basically, this is what is going on. Now, I also added that although the child's conscious mind is not fully developed at this point, everything that the subconscious is downloading is very important, because it is on this subconscious, what the experiences stored up in the child's subconscious mind is what the child is going to depend on after age 7. And this is what is going to form your child's character. This is what's going to form the way your child behaves, the ideology, the mindset, and how your child perceives life. So basically, 0 to 7 is foundation, and everything that you are building at this point, every experience that your child is having at this point will constitute the rest of their lives. So it is a very critical time in your child's life. It is the time that you do not want to joke with as a parent. It is the time that you are petty about the experiences that your child is having. It is the time that you are creating the kind of attachment that you want your child to have with you. It is the time that you are allowing your child's mind to see that there is no boundary, or not boundary now. You're allowing your child's mind see that there is no limit. It is the time that you sell to your child that there is no limit to what you can achieve. It is not after NYSC. It is not after A levels that you begin to tell your child that there is no limits to the boundaries that you can break and the places that you can go and the things that you can do. No, it is between 0 and 7 that you are raising your child to see life this way. So this is not the time that all you're doing is projecting fear. This is not the time that all you're doing is controlling your child. This is not the time that all you're doing is making your child say yes, 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 yes to you and not think for themselves. This is not the time that you're having everybody else do everything for your child. No, what you're programming your child to think of is that in life, people would have to position themselves to do everything for you. So if you do not allow your child gain stamina between age 0 and 7, you have programmed the child to depend on other people. If you're not allowing your child start thinking between 0 to 7, you are programming the child to allow other people think for them. If you're not allowing your child understand that life is about taking risks, because in those risks is where success is, then you're programming your child to have fear, and then those fears will be the same things that will limit your child. So age 0 to 7 is when you open the mind of your child and tell your child what is possible, because this is the point that you are filling up their subconscious mind. And when they come to full consciousness, it is what is stored up in the subconscious that will feed their consciousness. Basically, it is from what they have in their subconscious store that they will use to build their life up. So it is no that is why we hear people say, you hear people say, by the time a child is 7, all that the child is going to be is already what the child is. Well, basically, all that the child is going to be is already within the child. By the child is 7. That's why you hear the Jesuits say, give me a child before he is 7, and I will give you, what did that even put it? Give me a child before he's 7, and I will give you a man, or something like that, right? Give me a child before he's 7, and I will give you a Catholic forever, or something like that, basically. Right? So yes, this time in your child's life is very, very crucial. Now, so let's look at 5 things that as a parent you don't want to joke with. 5 things that you need to put in place, okay? 5 important things that need to be in place if you are going to ensure that you are building the subconscious mind as well as you should. All right? 5 things. So number 1, stability. All right, stability. You want to create stability in the life of your child between the age of 0 and 7. Okay? And when we're talking about stability, is a lot of things, right? It's a whole lot of things when we're talking about stability. Now, this is the time as a family. If you're a family, your father, mother, and all of that, this is the time as a family you want to project, or you want to ensure that your bond is obvious to your child. Right. Now, we will hear stories. I tell those stories too. I tell those stories about how growing up, growing up, I can't remember seeing my both parents. I can't remember seeing my both parents having a word match, like you talk, I talk. I can't remember seeing my both parents like quarreling, like really, really quarreling. I can't see that. I can't remember seeing that. Okay. And now that I'm older, I'm understanding in their own way, they understood, the principle of stability. They understood the principle of stability, and having us as their children see that stability from our home, or understand what it means to have a stable home. I think that consciously or unconsciously, they projected, or they made us, know and see that. So little wonder you grow up and your family orientation, or your value around family is, very high, or you place family, very, very high, in your value system, because hey, you probably grew up, having that stability in your family. So you see family as a place where, after everything else, where the whole world is shaking, that one place where you come to and you can be sure that everything is going to be okay. That's what we want our children to go in. So we want to create stability in our home as much as possible. Now, this is not a marriage class, so I'm not going to go into telling you that you should stay in your home, don't get separated. I'm not going there. I'm just trying to say to you, okay, without emotions or anything else, I'm trying to say to you that a stable family is one of the best things that we can give to our children. Now, you can be together as a couple, and yet your children do not have that stability, because there is constant chaos in your home. Now, all of these are not helping the children. All of these are not imprinting in the subconscious mind of your child in the right way. So as parents, we want to go the extra mile to create some level of stability in our home that will imprint, okay, correctly in the subconscious mind of our children. All right? Now, it's the same thing with, having your children have the basic things of life. Okay? Yes, we understand life is hard and all of that. As I said before, I am not a marriage counselor. Neither am I, neither am I a financial expert. But basically, what I'm saying is when children have the basic things in life, your children can eat food when they need to eat food. Children have, they have access to good water. They have access to healthcare. So basically, this child is having health wise, the child is whole, isn't it? So when this kind of stability is present in your home, you will find that your children would thrive, or your children are on their way to thriving, or on their way to becoming thriving adults. Okay, because when there is food, there is good water, there is access to healthcare, there is access to love, there is access to compassion. Okay, in your home, you wake up in the morning and everyone is loving towards each other. Everyone is greeting. You wake up in the morning and everyone is greeting each other with a hug, with kisses, with hugs. And then, it's such a good energy in your home, right? It's such a good energy in your home. Your children are raised in a home where people speak to each other kindly and politely. Social graces are taught. You teach your children to be polite. You teach your children the right etiquette. You teach your children manners. You teach your children how to talk to each other and how to talk to grown-ups, how to talk to each other respectfully, and how to talk to younger people respectfully. You teach your children how to respect the people that they encounter without minding their social status. When we do all of these things, we create a picture of stability in the mind of our children. And this is what the conscious or the subconscious mind will store up for your child as what a home is. This is what it will store up for your child as what the world should be. So little wonder, people who grew up in stable homes find themselves in office environment, find themselves in the marketplace, find themselves in real life, and they are more concerned about peace. They are more concerned about understanding, about talking to people respectfully, as opposed to let's scatter it if it's not going to go my way. So if you check, a lot of people that you see who are ready to break the ground and who are ready to get into conflict at any point, check it and go back. You will realize they actually, chances are people like this grew up in environments where there's a lot of chaos, a lot of aggression, a lot of instability. And so this is what the subconscious mind has stored up for them as what is okay. So as parents, we want to be very, very conscious about what it is that our children are storing up in their subconscious mind. You want to be very careful about what it is that you're projecting, or what it is that your children see. Because it is one thing, for you to just simply be trying to build a home, or trying to, while the children are growing, you're trying to build a home, you're trying to, be stable and all of that. But in the midst of all of this, there's all of this chaos. Hey, the subconscious mind is not conscious enough and does not reason enough to make excuses. Oh, no, daddy and mommy are not always like this. It's just that today mommy was pissed off and all of that. No, it doesn't do that. It doesn't explain. No, the child does not have that capacity. He doesn't have that capacity to rationalize things like this or to reason things out. The subconscious mind is not interested. It takes up everything that it sees and it stores it up like that without any consciousness. It takes everything that it perceives in its environment and stores it up like that as what is real and what it's supposed to be. So yes, when your child grows up and they get over the age of 7, they become 8 and 10 and 12, right? This is the only response or these are the experiences that they have. And of course, these are the response that the subconscious mind will project or give to the child when the child consciously gets into a situation that needs a response, okay? That needs a response. The certain kind of response, sorry. The subconscious mind will go to their experience and pick the right response for that situation and give it back to your child, okay? And of course, because it does not rationalize anything, it will pick whatever it is that the child saw growing up, whatever it is that was stored up in it. That's what it will pick and it will give. So no, when you see someone who gets angry and is ready to take a bottle and bust another person's head, no, it did not happen because the child is just because the person is just angry. No, it didn't happen because the person is just angry. Yes, the person is angry, but the only way the person can react to that anger is what has been stirred up from whatever experience that this person has seen. Remember what these experiences can be. They can be what obtains in your home. They can be what you do. They can be what is present in that home where you drop off your child. You put the child in that place to get that experience. It can be what the child is watching on TV. You made that available for your child to watch. Okay, remember, the subconscious mind takes it and stores it 100% without caring whether it is right or it is wrong. And all of this happens between ages 0 and 7. Okay, now part of stability is regulation. You would have to raise your children 0 to 7 in a home that there is a consciousness around emotional, regulation. So if you're a parent who is constantly yelling and shouting and beating up children in the name of raising them, it's okay. I'm sure you're getting the results that you want to see. But also remember that this is what the subconscious mind is storing up for your child. So it is no magic that your 10-year-old, okay, that your 10-year-old is beating people up and busting people's lips all over the place, right? So it is said that children who are aggressive, okay, go back to their homes. You will find that there is some level of aggression, okay, in their homes. So while you are beating and shouting and screaming, know that you're raising an aggressive child, because hey, that's how the subconscious mind is going to store it. It's not going to store it as it's because you did something wrong. It's going to store it as when anything does not appeal to you, when a person's act is not, as in when you're not, you don't feel happy about what someone has done. It doesn't matter whether you're the one that's wrong or whether you're the one that's right. This is how to act. Blow them, slap them, kick them, and everything. As aggressive as you are is how aggressive your child is going to be, okay? In fact, the child is probably going to be double. Remember that prayer that we pray? My child will be better than me. So when your child wants to express the aggression that they learn from you, they're going to give it 2 times more. So when you see people, oh, my child, oh, he's calm. But if you come near him, if you try him, he will, okay, it's supposed to be a good thing. I don't know. But basically, the aggression that your child sees around you is the same aggression that your child is going to give out, or even more, basically. And this will become what your child is going to build on, okay, when they become conscious, okay? Right, so let's move. So I talked about social graces. I talked about emotional regulation. Empathy is another thing. If you're raising your children in a home with empathy, you're raising them in a home with empathy, and all of that. You are empathetic towards your child. You see things from their perspective. You allow yourself see things from their perspective. You listen to their explanations. You listen to why they do things. You allow them to, you allow them to reason. You allow them to review their actions. You allow them, evaluate what they've done. And then you say to them, why did you do this? Can you explain to me? Have that conversation. Allow that communication, that channel for communication where you can look at things from a child's perspective and see where they're coming from. When you do that, you teach your children to be empathetic, okay? And this should be available in your home when your children between 0 and 7. Very, very key. Number 2, in your environment, in your home, if you're going to raise children who will thrive, you're going to raise children who will think deeply, you're going to raise children who will be successful, you would have to have books. You will have to have a lot of books in your home environment. So you should have a library. You should have libraries. There's so many libraries in my home. Behind me is my parenting library. If I change this way, if I turn this, let me see. If I turn, okay, it's not working that way. If I turn this way, you can't, it doesn't, let me see. I was going to turn my camera, but let me not distort all of this. But if I turn my camera, to my right is a library for the children. Okay, it's a whole library shelf. If you go to my living room, at some cute corner is a huge library for the entire family. If you go to our son's room, there's a library in there, there's another library in there. So let your children see a lot of books. Now, why books? Books are very important because remember, right from when your children, right from when children are born, or right from your third trimester, right? The subconscious mind is open and it's fully active, and it is recording. What is it recording? It's recording the programs that you have prepared by way of experiences. Now, when you take good books and you read books to your children, those stories in the books become experiences for your children. So that's why it's important the kind of books that you're reading for to your children, and that you allow or introduce your children to between the ages of 0 and 7. Okay, the books that your children read at this stage should be books that are edifying, should be books that are creating experiences of what your children are, what you intend to program into your children. Okay, so you want books that have good feeling, because you want to constantly, you want your children to register the good feeling. Okay, you want to register good feeling in the mind of your children, okay, at this stage where they are programming. You want your children to see life as something that is good. You want them to be positive about life. You want them to be positive about life. You want them to be positive about the things around them. Do not be the one that will give your children a negative perspective of life. So when you constantly tell all those stories, you're constantly, some people be like, hey, I live that, is you know what, the real world, tell them as it is, and all of that. There is a time for everything. Okay, so we're not saying lie to children, but we're saying the materials that you're giving your children, the information that you're giving to your children, are they age appropriate? Are they not too much information? Does your child need all that information? What will you do with those information? So this is the catch. The catch is this: if you're going to give your child any information, ask yourself, how is this information beneficial to this child? So at every point, for every information or knowledge that you are giving a child, ask yourself, how is this knowledge or how is this information beneficial to this child? What can the child do with this information? So yes, if you're reading horror books to your children, to your 5-year-olds, okay, if you're giving them those kind of books, what exactly is the mindset behind those books at that stage in their lives? So what you want to do is you want to read them books. That's why you find out most of those literature that you see for children, okay, that's why you see all those stories of happy endings, okay, the story, you see all the Cinderella stories of happy endings, the prince coming to save the world and all of that. It is deliberate. It's deliberate because the authors or the experts, right, understand the importance of your children having certain perspective certain perception of life at this stage. So you want to read books that will talk about manners, the right way to act. So when you see a Cinderella story that talks about these two bitter sisters, and then it talks about how kind Cinderella was and how at the end of the day, she got rewarded because she was kind. All of this is just because we understand at this stage of your child's life that the subconscious mind is storing up. Okay, so you want to give the programming, you want the kind of programs you want to give to the brain at this time is, oh, you need to be good. If you are good, good things will happen. It's important that we raise our children to see the need for empathy this way. Okay, you want to read books, okay, that are morally sound to your children at this stage, 0 to 7. Books that are talking about, morally sound things, positive behavior, okay, good virtues, values, and all of that. You want to read that. Read books to your children that talk about self-reliance, talk about hard work, talk about read those kind of literature, read those kind of books to them. Because at this stage, you're programming the child, and the reading, the books, the stories in those books are programs already for your child. Okay, the stories of those in those books, what those characters go through becomes how your child perceives life at the time. This is a reason why your child talks about cartoons during this time of their lives as if it's real. It is the reality that your child knows. This is what is imprinted in the child's subconscious mind at this time. So yes, you want to censor. That's why it's very important that you censor, okay, what your child is consuming through books and the things that they see during this time, during this phase of their lives. So yes, it is the reason that people who understand the kind of children that they want to raise, it is the reason that they read certain kind of literature to those children. Someone wants to raise a child who is conscious about the world, wants to raise a child who respects the environment, wants to raise a child whose mind who can think, outside the box and beyond. So you find that you are reading literature to your children that are talk about things that are mind blowing and things that are beyond the simple, beyond the ordinary. You want to raise your children. You want to start reading those guys. So who are you raising? Let that be the basics for the kind of literature, okay, the kind of books that you give them access to between the ages of 0 and 5. All right? So that's very, very important. Okay, let your children read books, stories to your children that talk about empathy, social connections, positive behavior. Okay, read about health, read to them about things that have to do with good health practices. Okay, lifestyle. Okay, expose them to fine lifestyle, expose them to whatever it is that you want them to perceive life as, okay, at this stage of their life. This is not the time that you want to gather them around and be talking about, someone that has hammered and you don't even know how he hammered. Who cares? Some of those things that we say carelessly before our young children. We don't know the impacts. The subconscious mind is just storing up these things, and for all you know, this is where your child is going to pick up the idea that, go ahead and be rich by all means, whether by hook or by crook, because of some of these careless things that we say around them without minding the effects that they will have in the lives of these children. All right, let's go quickly. I need to finish early. I have one or two things to do today. Number three is physical structure, right? Your physical structure, very important, okay, during this time in your child's life, 0 to 7. And we're going to be talking about this, and we're going to be dealing about on this aspect a lot in our course that we're running this month, right? Creating a stimulating environment that can allow your children thrive, or that will allow deep thinking or deep learning in your children. Now we're going to be dealing a lot with the physical structure, okay, that you're creating and how you can use your physical space to stimulate your child. All right, so if you have children around this age, you want to make sure that your physical environment is such that is attractive, right? It's attractive, has bright colors. Bright colors invite children to want to explore. Bright colors, when a place looks like a spacey, okay, when a place looks like it's spacious, when a place is colorful, children are interested, okay, they're interested in exploring, okay. When an ambience is nice and good looking, children want to dig in and explore what's going on. When an environment is intriguing, okay, when an environment is intriguing, children want to dig in and see and understand the things around them. So in creating your physical space, okay, your home space and the space around your home, your environment, you want to create a space that is inviting to your child. You want to create a space, okay, that attracts your child to learning. Okay, you want to create a space that is not always so mundane. These days, what we do as parents is we're so conscious. It's all about us. I just want this space. Everything is white. Everything is, so arranged and all of that. We're constantly thinking about ourselves. If you have children, you can't think only of yourself. So while you have all your very structured, clean, white space, you want to create some space, okay, that considers the child. So it could be their room, it could be their playing place, it could be around the house. Okay, you want to allow yourself intentionally think about your children and the learners in your home. Okay, so as I said, bright colors invite your children to learn. It invites them to want to explore, invites them, to want to create. So create that kind of space in your home. All right, have items in your home that invite your child to be curious. Okay, have items in your home that your children will be forced to ask questions about, so that that becomes the basis for certain knowledgeable conversations. Okay, invest in resources in your home that will cause your children to ask questions, or that would invite your children to create. Okay, so when you have resources in your home, okay, loose parts, uh, um, abstracts, okay, abstract painting, loose parts, pictures of great people, okay, quotes and books, things that basically would invite your children to want to know more, to want to dig in, to want to see more, to want to explore, to ask questions. Okay, do have those kind of things in your environment. What you're doing is you're setting the stage for your child to learn. And you're setting the stage for your child to be a lifelong learner, someone who is always curious and wanting to learn. When you decide to go for vacations, or decide to go places or do things as a family, always choose places that have a bit of mystery. Always choose places that have history. Choose places that have, that have something to them. Okay, go to places where your children can dig in and find out things. All right. When you have children, you can't be basic. When you have children, you are constantly being creative. You're constantly thinking about your choices. You're constantly thinking about how effective, or how the choices that you're making will work for your children. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay, so let your physical space be what invites your children to learn. Let it be what invites your children to explore. Okay, apart from that, you want to organize your physical space. Where are your children supposed to study? Okay, let your children create with your children the right place where your children can study. Let it be a place that helps your children organize their minds. So I say to my kids, if you're organized in your mind, you'll be organized outwardly. Okay, so a lot of times the reason our children are not organized in their mind is because they were raised in a disorganized environment. So when you raise your children in a home where you throw things around, in a home where the kitchen is constantly upside down, your room's constantly upside down, anything goes. We can go to school today at 5, I'm sorry, at 7. Tomorrow we go at 8:45. Next tomorrow we go at 8:10. And when there is no consistency, okay, the children get confused as to what is the right thing, or what is the right way to go about this particular thing. So you want to raise your children in a place that has a level of organization. When you're organized as a parent, when you raise your children in an organized place, your children will grow up to see this as what is default. Okay, so they will see an organized environment as how life is supposed to be. But when you raise your children, okay, and your dad's carefree, anything goes, they go out to school, they come back home, the house is upside down, okay, it may not mean anything. You think it doesn't mean anything. But basically, this is what your children see. Okay, so as our son was growing up, at some point, we got to a point and I said, oh, you have to start helping me, with the laundry and all of that. So I bring in the clothes after they've dried up, and I'm trying to like fold them. And I'm like, okay, take the small ones, and I throw them to him and like fold your little things and all that. I was shocked the first day my son had to, because I had not taught him how to fold things and all of that. But he sat down in a certain way, crossed his legs, and then started folding the things just the way my husband does it. So my husband is very finicky like that. He's very meticulous. Okay, you know the very so my husband is very meticulous. Okay, he's that person that folds clothes. When he folds the clothes, you would think that the clothes just came back from the dry cleaners. So he would sit down, take his time, and then spread them, use his hand to, like, smoothen them, and then fold them to shape, to a particular shape. And I was amazed at this point. I can't remember how old he was, 6, 7, thereabouts. And he actually sat down and he folded those clothes just the same way his father would fold them. Now, you see, this is what happens to the subconscious mind. This is what happens to the subconscious mind. The things that you do and you do not take, the things you do, sometimes you don't even pay attention to. The child, it's happening in the child's environment. So the child is registering these things. And these things could be positive or negative. Either way, it gets registered, basically. So you want to, let the child, you want to project, that level of organization or some level of organization, okay, in your physical space, so that this is how your child sees that things are supposed to be, and this is how your child will learn and grow into, taking care of his own space. So you want to project that. Now, when you want to teach your children any skill at all, be it in the kitchen, the house, the room, wherever, whatever you're teaching your children, please, by all means, teach them to do it the best way that is possible. Now, don't be too obsessed about speed. Speed is the last thing that will come. What is important is that they learn to do it the right way. It's part of organizing their physical space. So whatever you're teaching your children, teach them the right way to do it and insist, okay? Insist and support them to do it the right way every time. When you do that between when they are 0 and 7, you will find that afterwards, that becomes the only standard that your child knows to do these things. As part of my family value, putting your best foot out or doing things excellently is part of it. Okay, so in everything, some of us didn't grow up like that. We have to learn it. Okay, in all of these things that we're saying, 0 to 7, this becomes your child's default behavior when they grow after they are 7. This is how they will build into their character, okay, and the adults that they will become. However, there is the place of when you come to a consciousness as an adult, or you come to a consciousness many years in your, I mean, later in your life, and you come to that realization that, okay, certain things in my life, were not, I didn't learn them the right way. I wasn't taught the right way, or I don't do them the right way. Then you can now decide to unlearn, okay, and begin to relearn new things, right? However, not everybody gets to that point, or not everybody would do this. That's why we have the society that we have. A lot of us didn't have a lot of the things that we have been able to teach or train ourselves to become, okay, even in our 30s and, in our 30s, late 30s and 40s. We're learning those things right now, and you will attest that it's more difficult. You're trying to be more emotionally, regulative right now. You're trying to be, more conscious about how you treat your children, how you treat other people. You will realize that you make mistakes and you fall, every now and then, because it's not so easy. Why is that? Because you're learning these things later in your life. Now, there are people who don't even come to this point where they decide, I'm going to unlearn these things. There are people who don't even think there's anything wrong with them. So you see, you carry this shabby attitude, this shabby behavior, your whole life, messing up other people, hurting people, treating people badly, and just being an all-round nasty person, or an all-round disorganized person, an all-round negative person, and all of that, without even knowing it. And all of this stemmed from that phase in your life, 0 to 7, where, people did not consciously program you in a particular way. Now, this is what we don't want for our children. We don't want to raise children today who would have to repair themselves, especially because it is a generation that is not about repair. It is a generation that is fast-paced. It's a generation that does not have time for reflection. It's a generation that just wants everything microwave generation, as they call them. It's a generation that just wants to move, doesn't have time for sitting down, sitting back and slowing down. So you want to help your children because the times are different. You want to help them to learn things once and for all. Let them get it right from the word go. Let them get it right from day one. So yes, when you're teaching your children, your 4-year-old to wash plates, teach your children, your 4-year-old to do the dishes properly. When you're teaching them to take off their clothes, teach them to teach your 3-year-old not only to take off her socks and shoes, and come let mommy or daddy help you with your buttons and all of that. When you're done, hand these things to them and tell them to take them to the right place. Let your children learn to replace things, okay? So if you took it out, then you should be able to return it. Create slogans or create simple things that turn them into songs, turn them into, sayings in your home, but basically that points your children towards the right thing. One of the sayings we have in our home is, if you go to a place, you leave it better than you met it. Okay, so if my children go and they use the toilet, okay, all I need to go is I come to the room and I'm like, you need to go back and look at the toilet and come tell me what it looks like. So they go and they say, I didn't flood you. What are you supposed to do? Leave it better than I met it. You go to the kitchen and you go and you leave my kitchen, you drop your dish there and then walk away. I'll send you back there. Go look at the space that you just left. What's going on there? They come back and they tell me, oh, I did it. I would like you come to terms with what you have just done wrong on your own without me telling you. Okay, so I'll point you, go see it and come to the consciousness that you did it wrong. They need to acknowledge that I have just done something wrong. We don't keep telling our children, you tell them everything, you did this wrong, you did that wrong. Well, are they going to see on their own what they did wrong? So allow them go see and acknowledge that I did this thing wrong, because that's part of the problem we have in the world, and especially in this part of the world today, where people refuse to acknowledge their mistakes, take responsibility for their mistakes. If you teach your children from early in their lives to acknowledge and take responsibility for their mistakes or for their things that they do wrong, then you will be preparing them, or you will be setting them up to be people who own up to their mistakes. It's because we don't teach our children these things. That's why you find our children always denying things, because you don't teach them to own it. So you go there. This is the case. All right, what are you supposed to do? What do? We leave a place better than we met it. Okay, so teach them, use those kind of slogans so that it sticks. Those kind of, one-line phrase that sticks and it becomes, a part of their lives. So they fix their mistakes that way. All right, very, very important, organization. Then the next one is mental structure. You need to create structures in your home, structure that your children can internalize. You cannot raise children 0 to 7. You can raise them without boundaries. You can raise them without values. You can't raise them without what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So you will be destroying your children or setting them up for self-destruction if you don't teach them or you don't create boundaries that they know and they understand. So yes, what do you want to see in your teenager? What do you want to see in your preteens? What would you want to be acceptable in your home? What do you want to entail in your home? You need to start teaching that to your children between 0 and 7. Okay? Yes, I'm glad I'm listening. Thank you very much. I can't see your name, but hey, thank you for that. All right? Between when your children are 0 to 7, that's when you talk about screen time. That's when you talk about relationships. That's when you talk about what is acceptable, basically. Think about them. You have to be creative as a parent. You are constantly thinking. It's part of your job. You must be simulating. You must be simulating as a parent. Basically, project the things. Look at the future. Project the things that your children will be going through at the age of 7 and begin to talk about it right from when they are 2 and 3 and 4. By the time your child is 13, by the time your child is these days 10, 11, 12, 13, they're already talking about phones and all of that. What phone? So by 5, already put the policy on ground as far when they will even have access to a phone. So for the record, my children know that they can have access to phone until they can navigate on the internet. So if you ask my son, when do you have a phone, he will tell you no. Oh, when are you going to get one? I'm not sure until I can be safe on the internet. So right now, what are we doing? We are practicing. I am teaching my children, when you go to the computer, what's taking you to that system. So they use they use laptops, right? So when you're going to the laptop, before you go and sit down in front of the laptop, what are you going to do? Where is your destination? Right? My destination is YouTube. I want to watch a video on climate change because that is what I have for my assignment. So when you sit down in this resource room in front of this computer, you will go right to YouTube. You will go right to video of climate change. You will watch that video on climate change and you will log out immediately. Okay, so teach your children about destinations. Why are you sitting down there? What's your mission there? Let your mission, you have no business there except that mission for which you're sitting down there. So go right to your mission, accomplish that mission, and walk out. We need to teach our children focus. We need to teach our children how to control themselves. We need to teach our children how to control their minds. We need to teach our children how to focus. Basically, you can't be all over the place. What happens to a lot of our young people is, yeah, a child is come, he's sitting down here, he wants to do an assignment on climate change. Then he comes here, sits down. Why am I saying children? It happens even to the best of us, even as adults. So you sit down here at 5 o'clock, and then you click. The first thing you do is you go to Facebook. Let me see how many messages I have there. From Facebook, you go to your email. From your email, you go to TikTok. From TikTok, you go to Reels. Before you know it, it is 6:20, and you have not even hit YouTube and climate change, which is the reason why you're sitting down or why you came to sit down here in the first place. Now, this is why our children stumble into all kinds of pop-ups and all kinds of sites that they have no business with. Please, parents, 90% of the time, children who get into pornography and into masturbation and into all of these things, all of these vices and sites that have these things online, it is not because they planned to get there. It's not because this is what they planned to do. Most often they stumble onto these things. They stumble onto these things by chance, and that's because they do not know how to navigate when they go online. They don't know about destinations, okay, and then walking away after that. So you have to teach your children all of this. You have to create structures in your home. What are your routines in your home? Do your children know these routines? Do you create schedules for your children? Do your children know what they're supposed to be doing at 4? Do they know what's supposed to happen in their home at 5? If you meet my kids and you ask them, what are you supposed to be doing at 4? They will tell you. What happens at 7? They will tell you. What happens at 10? They will tell you. We are structured that way. Now, am I saying that 100% of the time we don't fail or we don't fault or we don't know? I'm not saying that. Okay, sometimes we don't even get to finish or complete all of the things that we're supposed to do per day. Okay, but then again, what is it? We know and we have the reasons why we were not able to accomplish them. For instance, if I'm not at home and I get back home at 6 o'clock, perhaps I will ask my son, oh, did you have your quiet time today? And sometimes we'll be like, oh, gosh, I remembered that. I knew that I was missing something and all of that. It happens once in a while. But apart from that, most often at 4, he will be having a quiet time. So structure your home that way. Create boundaries in your home. Let your children know what's your policy on sleepovers. What's your policy on play dates? What's your policy on dating? What's your policy on dating and going out on dates? What's your policy on have those things on ground? Not 1 week after your child becomes 16, more like 4 years before your child becomes 16, more like between when your child is 0 and 7. Begin to talk about these things so that the line of communication is open all through their lives till the time that these things become primary or the time that these things are important. Then you realize you won't struggle, you won't fight, You won't quarrel because there will be an understanding. All right. Then the last one and most important one is the God factor. You cannot leave the God factor in everything that you do. Okay. From day one, you want to take your children to who you believe in, what you believe in. You want to share your faith with your children. Between 0 and 7, you want to take that time to ingrain in your children what your faith is about. And this is not about dragging them all over the place and forcing them all over the place. You want to not indoctrinate now. You want to give your children, you want to bring to your children all that they need to know about their faith right from an early age. I was talking with one of my friends a few days ago, and we're talking, I'm Christian, right? And we're talking about religion, not religion per se. We're just talking about, indoctrination and why, certain faith has it that you would see a young person. Okay, let me take Islam for instance. You would see a young person. I'm not saying it's 100% of the time, but I have met a lot, and I've seen this consistency. You will see a young person who understands what it means and wants to learn about his faith. You will see a young person that is invested in prayers. Those 5 times he makes himself available with or without their parents. So we talked about this, and we arrived at the fact. Do you know that this, most of us are Muslims here, right? You guys go ahead, and right from when your children are young, you actually pay the malam to teach your children to step this faith. Okay, so they go beyond just what the parents can give. They go ahead and pay for the service of the service of a teacher, a faith teacher, to focus and teach and step this faith down to the children. So much so that the faith is so important to you that you're willing to have pay people to sit and step your faith down to your child, not just from, about actions. You're teaching them about the faith. You're teaching them about the mindset behind it. You're teaching them in depth about their faith. Very important. And I think every one of us, okay, no matter your faith, okay, or no matter what you believe in, if you really believe in it and you are invested in it, then you should do everything possible. Okay, you should do everything possible to step that faith down in a concrete way to your child, such that your child believes it. We can't keep dragging children around who are just following us because they don't have a choice. We want to ingrain our faith in our children such that they believe it so much that even when you are not there, your children are willing to take it and leave it. That's why they're ready to go all the length just to practice this faith. And while we're doing this, we need to be sure that we're practicing, and we are teaching our children our faith from positive, from a positive place. Let's try to reap, emotions out of, the things, principles. Principles have nothing to do with how we feel per time. Okay, principles are principles. So we need to raise children, right, that based on these principles, teach our children principles, that is devoid of our emotions, so that they know these things, because these are principles, not because I feel this way today and I say to you, this is what's good to do. Tomorrow I don't feel that way and I say to you, you can tweak it a little. Let's teach our children principles. All right, so that is it. It's 1 hour, and we're not going beyond 1 hour today. So thank you very much. I hope that you got value in this class. I hope that you got value in this session today. I have said, if you're going to raise children who will be, you're going to raise children who will thrive, then you don't want to joke with the first 7 years of their lives. And in those 7 years of their lives, some things that are very important: stability, okay, teaching them knowledge from books that have higher order knowledge than you have as a parent. Okay, books that have the kind of things that you want to teach your children. Okay, books that talk about empathy, that talks about social skills, that talk about emotional skills, and all of this. Read those books so that those experiences in those books become the experiences that your children have, and this is what is ingrained in their subconscious mind that happens to be the part of their brain that is conscious between the age of 7. Okay, between the age of 0 and 7, basically your children are in what they call hypnotic stage. Everything that they see, they don't question. Okay, basically, forget all those why they or everything. The brain, the subconscious mind, does not question anything, any experience that your child is having at that time. It just stores it up. It stores it up. It stores it up, and then this is what it's going to give back to your child when the child becomes conscious and needs to start operating based on their own reasoning. It's what has been stored up in their subconscious that they will use to build on the rest of their lives. Okay, we said books, then we said let's create your physical structure. You want to create the right physical structure in your home and in your environment for your child so that your child can thrive based on what you have created. The library, the study place, okay, the colors in your home, okay, the environment. Where do you take them for vacation? Where do you take the structure is very important. We also talk about mental structure. Okay, how are you programming them to see things? What policies? What boundaries? What schedule? Okay, what do you have? What schedules do you have in your home? What routines do you have in your home? What traditions do you have in your home? What is acceptable? What is your family value? What are your personal values? All of these things are very important. Your children, you need to have them in place if your children are going to thrive when they become adults. And it's amazing that it's 0 to 7 that will determine, okay, the rest of their lives. And then lastly, we said the God factor. You cannot take that away from anything and everything. Okay, now we have the course. We have the course creating a stimulating environment in your home. In that course, we're going to break down all of these and tell you. I mean, it's going to be like detailed what and what and what and what and what you will put in place to ensure that the mental structures are in place. We will help you create. We will talk about that and help you create all that entails mental structure. Physical structure, we will create all that entails physical structure. Okay, then we will come back to stability. We will create all that it takes, okay, to have all of the structure so that you have something tangible that you can work with every day with your children. All right, what we do in Parenting Through Mentorship Academy is what we do is we bring everything to practical terms. As parents, we hear a lot of things, we see a lot of things around us. Okay, so sometimes some of us have information overload already. It's how to translate these things into tangible things that we can work with. That is the concern now. And that's what we're going to be doing with you in this course and many other courses that we take. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. We still have our mentor parent support program. It is the ultimate program in the academy. In that program, we work with you every step of the way. Okay, we're here to answer your questions. We're here to help you with strategies based on the goals that you want to achieve with your children. So we stay with you and your goal, and we help you with those goals all year through. All right, so it's a subscription-based program, okay, and you can register for it and be a part of it. It's a termly program, so you register for 4 months, and the next 4 months you renew if you want to continue with us. And I promise you, all the parents that have been with us from the beginning, okay, are still with us because it is that robust and it's that effective. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for all those who made time. I can't see any of your names because you did not allow StreamYard access to your name. All right. So after this, I'm going to see them. And if you have any questions, I'm going to respond to them because right now I can see any questions. So thank you very much for joining us. Okay. And thank you for allowing us be a part of your parenting journey. We do not take it for granted. If you're catching the replay, let us know you're catching the replay and let us know if you got value from this session. Have a lovely, 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 lovely rest of the day. If you have a friend that needs to listen to this as you're listening, please tag them so that they can come and watch the replay also. Okay, until many parents as possible will get this message and get what we're trying to preach here, then the world we will still struggle. So let's get this message to as many parents as possible. The people in your circle need to know what you know if your children are going to be safe. Have a lovely rest of the day. Bye.